So good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. My name is Bonnie Sachs, and this is my happy half hour where I talk about basically whatever comes up for me, kind of around energy and what's happening on the planet and this whole idea of us going up in frequency and what a doozy it is today. Good morning, Robin. Today was really interesting. I didn't even have to get out of bed and go for a walk this morning in order to be able to have some awareness about what we were going to be talking about today. It's so interesting because I've been doing a lot of this, like bringing in new frequencies, more joy, more fun, more love, more forgiveness, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Good morning, Eileen and Amber and Erin. It's great to see you all. I hope you had a fabulous weekend. It was really interesting from an energy perspective because there were a lot of new frequencies that came onto the planet on Friday and Saturday. And so there were a bunch of us that were doing the freaky dance. Holy cow, what is all this stuff? And so I love that this morning this information came in for me on forgiveness. It's like, wow, what an awesome opportunity for us to take a look at it and look at, where does forgiveness show up for us, how we can forgive, who we can forgive, what we need to forgive, where it is in our bodies, because forgiveness is a frequency and it's super cool because it's directly connected to Christ consciousness, and Christ consciousness is this electric blue. I don't even have any right here, but it's a really bright blue, and it shows up like just it shows up so bright. Good morning, Regina and Kate and Jill, Maggie. It's great to see you all. Yeah, so this this forgiveness showed up for me this morning really early, relatively speaking, because it certainly is that. It showed up about 5:30, 6 o'clock this morning. And it was like I could see, this is a really weird one, not that other things aren't weird, but I was seeing like soldiers, and I could tell that they were soldiers, but they felt like soldiers from other time periods, right? Not soldiers in present day. They weren't dressed like that, but they were like falling out of the cosmos. And it was kind of like, sort of like puzzle pieces falling out of the cosmos and sprinkling down and falling into certain shapes for me. And I just knew that these were soldiers from time periods that I had experienced in past lives, right? So there are lots of soldiers in past lives for me, different time periods in around the time of when Jesus walked the earth. There were soldiers that were around in the 1500s and around in the 1700s when I was here, just different lifetimes. But I was aware that they were coming in. It was like an opportunity for me to see that there was forgiveness to be able to be given, for me to forgive them and for them to forgive me, which was just like, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. This is a weird thought to be having. Not necessarily so weird for me. I do these things sometimes, but I was just like, wow. And I was like, where is it that I can bring in some more forgiveness? If I have all of these soldiers that have been in past lives with me, for me to forgive them, who else is around for me to forgive? Which immediately I'm doing this like, really? This is where I'm going to go today? Okay. Good morning, Karen and Chelsea. It's great to see you. We're talking about forgiveness and this idea that if there are some minor players in your life or in your past lives that there are to forgive, right? There's people for me to forgive in a minor player past life. There's probably a few in my present life that I can forgive. And good morning, Millie. It's great to see you. And of course, it's so interesting also, this comes up for me in next week. Next Monday is Rosh Hashanah. I converted to Judaism 24 years ago. And then the next week is Yom Kippur. And Yom Kippur is those two holidays in Jewish tradition are considered the high holy days. And one of the things that you do is you start looking for who you need to forgive, who is out there that you want to ask forgiveness from. And so it's interesting on one level that this is coming up now. It's not something that I do every September, but it is interesting. And it's also kind of a interesting place to ask, why is this coming up now when on Friday I'm leaving to go on vacation? Let's forgive everybody before we go. And it was very triggering for me this morning. That's like all the people that I feel like I'm leaving behind, all the people that, wow, I can really feel that. All the people that I'm leaving behind, like I'm not supposed to go on vacation or something like that. So this forgiveness piece is, who do you have to forgive? Who is there in your life that you know that it's time to forgive, whether you want to or not, right? Because that's not always, that doesn't always play into the conversation, right? We're not talking about whether you want to or not. We're talking about who there might be. Let's just bring some more awareness. Let's bring some more awareness to who might be there. So when I started constructing my list, the first person that came up for me actually wasn't a person, and it was my dog. And I think it was because my dog was sitting at the end of the bed making noises, and it was early in the morning, and I didn't want to get up, and I wasn't ready for this. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of resentment in places where I could forgive my dog. Or I could be like, she's a dog. It's not her fault that she makes these noises, or that she can't get up and down on the bed, or that I put her on the bed, all of that stuff, right? All of the story that goes on. So let's start with the baby steps. Who is it that's really easy for you to start practicing on forgiving? Who's the person that you can go, you know what, I can forgive them. I can say, all right, that's all right. I know that they didn't mean to do that. I know that the dog didn't mean to pee on the floor, that the dog didn't mean to bark and wake me up, whatever it is, right? Go with the easy ones first. Who are the easy people that it's like, all right, so, that person told my boss something that I didn't want my boss to know, or, that person that I absolutely, love and adore didn't show up for me when I needed them to be there. Maybe that's some of the easy places where you can go, yeah, I can forgive that. Now, forgiveness is a frequency, and it's often difficult for us to remember that it is a frequency. And we might think that there's nothing there to forgive, that there's nothing there that we need to release. And when we start to look at it, when we start to go, what if it was just something that was there that I could just let go of, that I could just, let me bring in some forgiveness frequency, some of that Christ consciousness, and let me let go of that. I can just let that go. I don't need to hold on to that anymore. That I don't need to keep anymore. That would be a really cool opportunity. Remember, for those of you that didn't hear, this forgiveness frequency, the Christ consciousness, electric blue. It actually shows up almost like the blue that Facebook is, that kind of color. As I'm looking on my computer, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty close to the color for me. Where can you let go? The easy one. What's the easy one for you? Then take it up a notch. Where's the next place? Where's the place that you can go to that you can forgive somebody that might be a little bit tougher. You know, I have that list, right? I would love to be able to forgive my mom for how she has shown up in the last 6 months. I want to let that go. I want to go, you know what? It's not her responsibility. It's mine. It's mine to step into forgiving her and letting it go, that it's okay. Good morning, Gretchen, and good morning, Sue. It's great to see you. When we take ownership of the forgiveness, it's for us to give, right? It's our forgiveness. We get to give it to people. We get to go, you know what? I'm not going to let that bother me anymore. I'm going to let that go. I'm going to be able to say, you know what? It's okay that you showed up that way. And I'm going to start to understand that it's divine timing. Can I tell you how much divine timing annoys me? Annoys me all the time, because it's like I understand that it is absolutely divine timing. It's time to let this go. It's time for me to say, you know what, that's okay. However you showed up for me, whatever you said about me, however you hurt me, I'm going to let that go and know that it's time for it to go. It's really cool. Then it's like, where else can you forgive? What else? Who else can you forgive? Sometimes we're just forgiving people for how they show up, right? It's a kind of minor thing. Sometimes we're forgiving people for what they've said or what they have done. But I love this phrase. I'm just, okay. You know, forgiveness is something that a gift that we can give ourselves. Forgiveness is something that we can gift ourselves. And I want to encourage you all to look at something that you can forgive. We're building up, right? Start with the easy ones. I'm gonna let go of some of the annoyance and aggravation and the irritation I have with my dog. And then I'm gonna start working on my mom, because that's somebody else who shows up in my life. And that one's just a little more challenging, but still it's kind of in the easy realm, right? For me, that particular one is still kind of easy. Yeah, I can put it out there. It's because of this and because of that, because she has a diagnosis. Good morning, Felonies. It's great to see you. It's I can be okay with that, right? How that one shows up. I can feel myself going, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go there. I'm not ready to step into this next one. And the next one is, for me, the next level of forgiveness is forgiving myself. Forgiving myself for where I told you, watch me. Forgiving myself for where I've held anger, where I've held frustration, where I've withheld love, where I have kept from really showing up for who I am here to be, right? Can you forgive yourself for not showing up? Can I forgive myself for not showing up for my mom? Can I forgive myself for not showing up for my dog? Go with the easy ones. All right, let's still stay in the easy ones. Can I forgive myself for those things that where I'm really conscious of, right? That's an easy one, a conscious one. Like, I know I can be annoying, I can be a pain in the neck. Can I forgive myself for that? And then take a deep breath and jump in a little bit deeper and say, can you forgive yourself for the things that were a little deeper, that were perhaps perhaps where you really had some meanness, or some places where you really had some purpose behind how you were showing up, right? You didn't do it unconsciously. You know, you can't just like slough it off. It's like, where did you show up and you said, you know what, that was definitely not nice. I was definitely not being in a space of love and compassion. And where is that one? Good morning, Tara. It's great to see you. Where is that piece? Now, for me, I know that I can dive deep into forgiveness by going into a lot of past life stuff things where I know that I didn't show up for other people? Have I forgiven myself for that? Where I felt like I should have rode in on a white horse and saved everybody, but I didn't. Can I forgive myself for how that shows up? And if you have an awareness of something that has happened to you in a previous lifetime, some of us have those. Can you see where you brought that in to this lifetime? And you've kind of held on to that. You've held on to that piece that says, I'm not going to let go of this. I'm not going to grant myself the forgiveness because I don't want it to happen again. I don't want to hurt people again. I don't want to have more of that pain. Do you see that? Can you see where that shows up? Where you're just like, it's funny because it's like a ball of pain and a ball of resentment and something that's inside of you that's just like, I'm not ready to let this go. I'm seeing it like two pieces kind of rubbing together, and you really want to be able to break them apart. But it's like, takes a lot. Throw a little forgiveness in it, throw more love in it, and suddenly it starts to loosen up. And then you can start to break it apart, and it can start to dissolve. That was what I was seeing this morning with all of these soldiers that were falling in from the cosmos. It's like, okay, here they all are. Here's all the representations of the beings that are there for you to hold in your awareness, that it's like, I can forgive them, I can love them, I can wrap them in more awareness. And it's like a beautiful opportunity, right? It's like another gift that we can give ourselves. Kate, you're cracking me up. It is an emotional piece, right? There's a huge emotional component to this. Now, I had this awareness this morning that I was going to be talking about forgiveness, and it was, doing an easy one, an easy thing to forgive, and then taking it up a notch and doing, who's kind of a more difficult person to forgive? Who is that in your life? And then taking it up another notch and saying, where do you have to forgive yourself? Where can you let go of what you've held on to, like, something nasty you've said, something nasty you've done? Intentionally, unintentionally, it doesn't really matter. And then it's taking it up to the next notch from our perspective, which is, where have you not forgiven Source, Creator, God? Where have you held something like, I can't believe God let that happen. I can't believe Source would put me on this planet at this period of time when things are so dark and ugly and miserable, and there's no love, there's no whatever it is, right? Where is that shows up for you? Where do you say, I'm really pissed off at you, God, and I can acknowledge that I am really angry with how the world has been arranged, how the game is played, how things have unfolded in my life. There must be somebody that I can blame, right? I've forgiven myself for my part in it. So now I need to take it up a notch. And now I need to be able to say, let me bring in some Christ consciousness. Let me bring in some more forgiveness so I can start to forgive God where God showed up, where God didn't show up, or God took something away, right? Those are some really big ones for all of us. And it's important for us to, every once in a while, take time, say, you know what, I want to forgive this. I want this to go. I want to move it out so that I have more space in my body to bring in some more light, to bring in some more love. If I can move some of this stuff out, some of this anger and fear and pain where I need to forgive, then suddenly I have some more space. So I had these awarenesses this morning before I started walking. And then when I went and walked, I turned on the audio that I listened to. I'm listening to Paul Selig's Realization book. And the very first thing that he started talking about was about forgiving ourselves for our shame, forgiving ourselves for where we have held on to this feeling that we're not good enough, that we can't show up, that we haven't shown up, that there is something that we haven't done and we're like holding it against ourselves. And I was just, wow, that was so amazing. Total coincidence. Just kidding. Total coincidence that all happened. So that I could see that. Wow, look, here's another one. Here's where it shows up. Good morning, Jinju and Almond. It's great to see you. It's we're talking about forgiveness and who and what and where and how we can move more of that out, how we can be willing to step into more love, more Christ consciousness. When we step more into forgiveness, suddenly things start to loosen up. Somebody recently told me an analogy of a piece of jewelry, a fine piece of jewelry that gets stuck, that gets knotted up, and you can spend a long time sort of unknotting it, but you can't wear it until you're able to pull all the pieces apart, right? And so as I was walking this morning, I hear all this stuff about letting go of shame and forgiving and being willing to let go of things. And I suddenly decided I wanted to listen to some music. And so I suddenly decided. So I put on some music, and Ed Sheeran has a song that's, I think it's probably been out for a while, but the name of the song is called Barcelona. And I'm actually leaving on Friday to go to Barcelona. And it's a really peppy kind of a island song. It's really, really kind of fun. And I put it on and I was kind of like dancing around while I was walking. And I realized that when I let go of some forgiveness, there's more space for me to be happy. That there are some places in me, some energetic places, right? Although many of us can actually feel them in the physical, but there are some places where I have held on to anger and fear and pain, and when I added more forgiveness to the mix, when I brought more in, it suddenly released, and I had more space to be more happy. I had more space to be a little bit more fun. That I'm a person who holds on to stuff like, okay, you don't want to be too happy, you don't want to be too excited, because if you're too excited, you might have to sacrifice at some point and be in a lot of pain. And so letting go of that pain and letting go of that anger in the place that I have really resented myself allowed me to have more space. And I was just really joyful for the rest of my walk because it was an opportunity. Like, what an amazing thing to have an awareness about, to suddenly go, wow, when I let go of some low frequency, and this applies to all of them. Today we happen to be talking about forgiveness. And when I let go of the pain and the fear and the shame and the blame that is there, when I'm willing to add more of that forgiveness frequency in and bust it open, suddenly there's more space for love and joy and bliss. And how freaking cool is that, to have more of that available? Of course, I think it would be really fabulous for all of us to have more of that awareness, to have more of that available. Like, imagine all of us bopping around as if we were listening to music, whatever the music is that really gets you excited, that gets you moving, that makes you want to dance. You know, for me, sometimes it's a little salsa, sometimes it's a little reggae, sometimes it's, you know, some pop, and you can always find me moving when Justin Timberlake is on. But how cool would that be to be more in that space? Like we could start to move around a little bit more freedom. You know, that shoulder that you have that's like been a little stuck, that doesn't want to move. When you start moving out more of the pain, when you start forgiving yourself for whatever it was that you did, that suddenly starts to move. And then you have a little more freedom. It's so funny because it's showing up to me like all the babies, right? We always talk about how limber babies are and how much they are able to move and, you know, pick up their toes and chew on them and things like that because they're not holding on to all that stuff that is keeping us in pain and fear and blame and all that kind of stuff. So this is an amazing opportunity for us to shift more. And, you know, this morning as I sat down to my computer, got ready to have this conversation, I was like, my prayer for everybody was to have more gifts of love and forgiveness, and for everybody to have this gift of being able to release something that's been weighing on them. That's, you know, I didn't behave well in this situation, or if only I had done this or said this in that situation. And so my prayer was for all of us to have some more releasing in the places where we have beat ourselves up, where we have put ourselves down, where we haven't been kind to ourselves. And that was a really cool opportunity. I was like, how beautiful is that for us to have more gifts for that, more opportunities for us to step into more bliss, more joy, more fun. You know, we're all going to start dancing down the road. So I am going on vacation on Friday. I'm going to be gone for 15 days. I'm very excited about it. I've actually had this trip planned for 2 years, and I am going on a cruise. I'm leaving out of Barcelona, and I'm going on a cruise around Italy and through Greece, and we're stopping at many of the Greek islands before we make our way back to Barcelona. But in the process, next Monday, I'm actually still going to be in Barcelona, and I'm really excited about this because I hemmed and hawed. Am I going to do a video? Am I going to ask somebody to step in and talk? And my daughter, who was here, I think 2 weeks ago, my daughter Sarah, has agreed to step in and have a conversation with you all. I think next week it'll probably be both she and I on at the same time. She's going to be in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to be in Barcelona, and we're going to have a conversation. But the following week, I think it's October 7th, she is going to be on all by herself. She's such a freaking amazing speaker, and I'm so excited to have her on because she's going to come in and she's going to talk to you about millennials, and she's going to talk to you about what it's like to be in the woo-woo world and to be in the work world, and merging those two places, and how you can come to some agreement with how you show up in the world. She is just such a powerful and fun speaker. She has been speaking in public for a really long time and feels really comfortable with it. And I just think it's going to be pure magic, and I can't wait to see. I was joking with a couple of friends saying, I don't know, if I give her a platform, I might actually lose my platform, but I'm so excited to share her with you. And then I'll be really excited when I come back to be able to share some of the experiences and the awarenesses that I've had. And of course, I'll be posting them on Facebook and all of that as well. So I absolutely hope you all will take on the challenge or the opportunity to look at where you could do some forgiveness, where you can do some little forgiveness, where you can do some bigger forgiveness, where you can step into forgiving yourself for just one thing. And we don't have to make it a big thing. You can make it just one thing where you showed up and you said, fudge, I shouldn't have shown up that way. So I love and adore each one of you. I'm looking forward to seeing you again real soon. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on my Facebook page or send me a message. Mwah. Love you guys.